Welcome back to GCTV as we get ready to bring down the curtain on the 2022 Global Champions League season with a GCL Super Cup final victory, and that is what it means to the Miami Celtics. That is what it means to your 2022 champions. And in an absolutely golden moment on their way to the press conference, Bertram Allen, Michael G. Duffy popped in, they shook our hands, we said well done to the champions. Frederick de Backer has run down. We'll talk about the finalists, but let's talk about those young boys very quickly. Can you even begin to explain what this will mean to them, to their careers, how they will experience a moment like this?
No, not really, because you've got big champions that produce big rounds and big occasions, you know. Are they already in that group? This is something that they haven't experienced before. With the pressure, normally they always have experience around them. They came in here with the experience that they have, but it's not having an Aining or a John Whittaker with you. So this is undiscovered ground for them, and it's going to be wild in Prague tonight.
Peter de Vos, Niels Bruynseels, Ludger Bierbaum, Christian Aumann, Max Kuhne, Marcus Aining, John Whittaker. Name the legends on this team sheet. And this team, averaging just 25 years of age, has gone on to beat them all. Your champions for 2022, we'll look at them in a few moments' time. Let's maybe start with the hosts, the Prague Lions, who were looking for magic, were looking for a big celebration long into the night. Peter de Vos jumping 4 in round 1, 8 in round 2 on Nascard. He persisted with the 9-year-old. Questions perhaps around the horse choice, but with a rider like this, Peter will have backed himself. How do you rate Nascar's performance over the week?
He made it difficult for himself. He made it difficult for his rider, Nascar. That is something that needs to wear off. He needs to be able to focus. He needs to keep his energy under control if he wants to make that next step into a world-class horse. It's a horse that's going to jump a lot of big classes. This was 2 monstrous rounds on the same day, and he's going to jump them easily. The faults that he made were just down to inexperience and his playfulness, and he has to learn to keep it under control. If he does that, it can become a world-class horse.
And does it not put it into perspective if we look at Niels Bruynseels on an LGCT Grand Prix winner in Doha last year? Imagine jumping 4 and 4 as an individual and being completely out of contention. That's what shows us just how much was at stake here, how much was on offer, and how little there was for these riders to have zero room for any error.
No, nothing. Of course, they were knocked out of the race by the incident in round 1. I think Anna Kelnerova came back fairly strong. You saw that the refusal was on her mind, and she rode with much more pressure than we saw her ride in the first round. If she had leveled that maybe over the 2 rounds, spread it over the 2 rounds, it would have been a better situation. She handled it well, came back. In the end, even when it didn't happen, that run out, I don't think that the team was strong enough to beat these others, and that shows it in the end. The right team has won it. The Lions, they will learn a lot from this. The horse of Peter will learn a lot from it. Anna Kelnerova herself will learn a lot from this situation. She's got the experienced horse. Catch Me If You Can OLD is getting a little bit older, has been a very good horse to Laura Klaphacker in the past, now to Anna Kelnerova, but mainly Anna Kelnerova can learn a lot from this round.
Let's talk about lessons and whether or not they were learned for the Berlin Eagles, powered by Fundis. A lot was spoken, Frederick, this week about decisions. They were bold decisions. They were decisions that were taken in the hope of huge glory tonight. I don't want to ask you the obvious question of did it pay off. I want to ask you, where do you think it went wrong today? Because on paper it looked perfect. Did it or did it not?
On paper before, statistic-wise, it was brilliant.
How does it turn to a 28 at the end of 2 rounds?
Ludger rode Mila a lot in the indoors, so her preparation must have been the right one. Mumbai hadn't jumped that much, hadn't jumped indoors, hadn't jumped since Riyadh. Again, I didn't hear what Dennis Lynch said about the bridle change on Mumbai, but that is still a very big question for me to do that without official rounds of jumping and before such a big weekend. That is still a question. I hope that we can get that answered over the coming hours and days. And then Kobe, what did Kobe jump? Kobe jumped...
Kobe jumping 8 and 4. It's not good enough for the league champions, isn't it?
End of story.
We can find any storyline we want here. Yes, they were better in round 2, but 12, 4 and 8, you're not recovering from that on a GCL Super Cup final.
That's it.
Berlin Eagles, once again, are the history of a league champion not being able to be crowned winners of a GCL Super Cup continue as the 2022 champions, powered by Fundis, unable to get over the line. Madrid in motion as well. 2 difficult rounds for Angelica Augustin Zanotelli and Eduardo Alvarez Aznar. Better in round 2. Jack Whittaker was outstanding, but it just, on a week like this, on a night like this, when there are such good rounds around you, you cannot afford 3-4 fences down. They fell out of contention very early, didn't they?
No, we have to be careful with how we phrase it. They've jumped 2 clears between those 6 rounds there. The fault rate is high, but they've jumped, of course, 2 rounds each over this final. It was a monstrous track. The team that won it fair and square. There's also a reason why they didn't win any stages, and there's also a reason why they sit midfield in the final standing of the championship. So, yes, it's too much, but in the whole picture of 2022, it's not really odd. It's not really strange. It's way stranger where Berlin Eagles sit than where Madrid in Motion sits in this Super Cup.
Maybe a word or two on Kalinka. Yes, it wasn't great in round 1, but if you think about from a semi-final performance, a clear in round 2, maybe a word or two perspective on Kalinka's week.
Seems to be a very good indoor horse, is what you could say. 12 in the end is a big score to be called a super weekend if she would jump that on 4 or an 8. I felt that there was a lot riding on the shoulders of Angelica Augustin. She came in after the clear, of course, of Jack Whittaker. So you've got that perspective, you've got that buzz. The only thing that Kalinka doesn't need is buzz. She needs breathing. She needs quiet. She needs settlement. And that's maybe what was not there when she went in with all of that pressure. Second last team to go in the first round. Jack already with that clear, maybe crumbled a little bit under pressure.
Falkensvaart United were just 3 riders away from being crowned champions for 2022. They did a superb performance in round 2. In fact, it almost mimicked their performance in round 1. 4 from Marcus Eining, and then back-to-back clears from Andre Thieme and from John Whittaker set them up. They just didn't get over the line. Andre Thieme speaks to GCTV.
I have to say I was almost fine with our 3rd place after the first round. I thought, the teams who were better than us, I thought they're not going to have rails, so I made my freedom already with 3rd place, and then I was thrilled about my clear round, and then I heard that John was clean again, and I realized, oh man, that was maybe good with only 1 rail for 3 riders. And then we were watching in the schooling area, and I saw that they had rails and another rail and another rail, and we realized, oh Jesus, now we are in 2nd, and all of a sudden we had real hope, and we thought, man, there's a real chance to win it even, but then they were just 6 seconds quicker than us, and so they deserve it, and I think we are all very happy.
And of course you came from the quarterfinals this time, so no top 4 place in the season. Does this make up for that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I came in very late, so I was just pretty much hired for the last 2, like Riyadh and now Prague. So I wasn't in it like that deep, but it just feels amazing, and I'm very, very thrilled and happy that I was able to help that team and I could pay back that confidence. So, yeah, it's a good feeling.
It is the hope that kills you, isn't it? It's fascinating to hear Harry's perspective change, that at the turn, they thought a podium would be really good and they'd be happy with 3rd place. Once you start getting in it a little bit, all of a sudden they think they can win it. To be fair, those 6 seconds in the context of the competition is an eternity for Miami to get over the line, isn't it?
You just wonder if somebody will, and I think Jan Tops will do it, will sit them down and say, okay, 6 seconds, where did we lose 6 seconds?
It's a lot in this world.
Yeah, but Thieme, with a few extra strides left and right, take 2 seconds from Thieme. And I do think that John Whittaker just secured the clear to keep them the way they are. But I do think that John Whittaker also had 1, maybe 2 extra gears in his arsenal to bring out, should it be necessary. Of course, they've landed, they've climbed their way up, they worked their way up, they finish in third, in second, they're really happy with it. They cannot look back at where they lost time. They really have to be happy with how they fought back in the second round.
All right, Shanghai Swans as well were a big talking point. A lot of people, they were a favorite to go on and win the title. Christian Ullmann, Max Kühne and Martin Fuchs as well were looking very, very good. But let's talk about Max Kühne. Clear in round one. And then unfortunately for him, things falling apart heavily in round two. 3 separate fences going down. 12 penalties for Max Kühne. And what is that, Frederick? 1, 2, 3, 4. You jump 4 clears out of 6. And you find yourself completely out of contention.
That is the biggest pain of all, I think. The fact that you jump those 4 clears, the fact that the other man, Leon J and Martin Fuchs, only have that single rail from the first round. I don't know if we have an interview or reaction from Max Kühne, but I would love to hear his thoughts on those 12, because that's not a score for him, that's not a score for Electric Blue. And there is a lot at stake in terms of prize money with the team, and the team has always been riding over those last 2 seasons on Max Kühne and on Christian Ullmann. And it's so easy to call that pressure. Here he's got the first fence, and that's still okay.
Then he comes up here, over 1, down in the middle.
And then that's not really his mistake, in my opinion. It's just a little rub, but then you can start wondering how much is there still in yourself, knowing that it's all falling apart. How painful is the blow to the stomach, and how much air is being pushed out of your lungs when you have that blow, to recover and to still stay focused and to know that what you have to do. Did it get to Max Kühne? I think so.
Yeah, and you could see the reaction on Christian Ullmann in the tunnel. He was on Dominator watching the round, and you could see how he knew the round of 12 had taken it away. Christian Ullmann spoke to GCTV.
Yeah, we really like to come here. We have a great team. We have great team supporters over the whole season. We were really looking forward to this amazing event. It's really our whole family, everybody is coming this week, and we tried our best, and we are going happy home.
And your horse Dominator was just sensational in that ring. Is this a ring that you think Dominator performs particularly well in?
He felt quite well last year. It was one of the very big shows for him. He started quite normal, I must say, but from jump to jump and class to class, he did very well. The last round, he jumped clear in the final of the teams as well. So I was hoping he'd do the same. He's feeling well, and yeah, obviously he did good.
And of course, you came straight in at the semi-finals this year. Do you think that was an advantage?
For sure, yeah, to have a class less and for sure pressure less is good. But actually, it was clear to see the horses who are more in the rhythm and jumped more were better in the semi-final. So it's not a clear yes or no. I think it depends really from horse to horse.
How will you be celebrating your third place?
A little bit later. We have the flight home tonight, so we go home and then we rest a bit and prepare the celebration.
Can still afford a wry smile on the face of Christian Ullmann. Frederick, I wonder how their season would be regarded. We spoke mid-season transfer time that they were potential contenders for the GCL title. That didn't work out. We came to Prague with a very strong lineup. We said perhaps they were GCL Super Cup contenders. That didn't work out. There's been lots of wonderful little success storylines for them, but they never really seem to get the big prize over the line. Am I being unfair? Failure is a very hard word. I will not call the season a failure. But they lacked that big success, didn't they?
They're super consistent. They are extremely consistent in Super Cup, in this season, always in top 4, always on the podium here. Not always, but on 2 occasions. They were one of the most successful teams in the Super Cup. So in the end, in the long run, consistency pays off, because you get the most prize money, you get the most awards. Ullmann 2 times in a row, 2 years in a row, the best rider on the Global Champions League. But you kind of miss, if you cannot live with that, if the consistency doesn't give you enough highs, you will miss the adrenaline of the one big win. But I think you have to
want the trophy in the cabinet,
yeah,
don't you?
but I also think that you have to be really happy if you can do that for a long, long, long time. It's just one thing. They traded Kathrin Eckermann with Kalamandia in the middle of the season. and she stood second on the podium of the Super Grand Prix.
Decisions that will either be supported or perhaps haunted over the off-season now as we get ready for Doha to come around in a couple of months' time. You've had a busy week commentating in your great position just above us here in the studio. I'm going to bring up visuals of Miami Celtics, and I want you to put your commentator's cap back on, and I want you to talk to us about the performances of a double clear from Bertram Allen, clears from Duffy and Schmitz. These young men coming to Prague, Frederick, and doing the job. Take us through what really stood out for you here.
Pacino Amiro is a championship horse, really was at the World Equestrian Games or the World Championships in Herning earlier this year. That's why he wasn't so much in the team earlier in the season. But then how he comes out here and he's so razor sharp. His style is very peculiar. It's a very long horse. But Pacino Amiro really excelled. This horse, I thought that Michael G. Duffy had to fear for his position inside the Miami Celtics at the beginning of the season. He only had this horse to jump the bigger classes. He had jumping faults, he had time faults, all due to the inexperience of that horse. And then slowly, step by step, he started gaining experience. He started jumping time faults and just time faults. Then he went on to jump double clear in London. And the horse grew, and Michael grew, and the combination grew, and then it comes down to this. And then this young man, what a signing in the middle of the season. It's something to pick apart in the insider, which signings worked well and which signings didn't work out well. But Edward Schmitz, he's got these steely blue eyes that don't give away any emotion at first. It's like you're really looking at solid material.
And look at what it meant, Frederick.
But look at how he screams, we've won it there. Alex Duffy, the co-owner of Klitschko. It's just scenes, it's absolute madness there on Kiss and Cry.
And I got a message from Dennis Lynch, by the way, and I promised him that I would do this. Dennis Lynch sent me a message and said, I told you, and best you tell them that I told you. So, Dennis Lynch, this is me telling the boys and GCTV and Frederick and everyone that he backed the Miami Celtics and they got over the line. Let's hear from Edward Schmitz.
I was waiting for the right time to put my first clear round of the week in. No, I wish that were true. No, I think Gamin and I performed better under pressure. And there was definitely enough pressure for me for that last round. And it was just a sensational thrill to be able to go through that finish line and clinch that win for the Miami Celtics.
What went through your mind when you came into the ring for that round?
I think I'm not allowed to say those kinds of words on TV. No, I knew I had to get it done and that I could get it done, and that's what went through my mind.
Such an exciting team, such a young team.
Yeah, we were a bit outsiders before this week. If you looked at the starting list, you wouldn't have thought we were the favorites, but that's the beauty of our sport. When everything comes together, anything's possible.
And a little bit of luck on your side as well today?
For sure. I had a very lucky touch on the plank in the first round, and but that's part of it. I think luck is necessary to win competitions like the Super Cup, and we had that luck today.
It's no secret that not many people would have put money on the Miami Celtics to get onto the top spot of the podium. In fact, many figured that just getting onto the podium with this lineup, with 9 and 10-year-olds, young men on the lineup, this would have been an outrageously good performance to just get onto the podium. Is this victory the biggest Super Cup surprise we've ever had?
I think so, because if you think about, we had Shanghai Swans who've won it, we've had London Knights who've won it. London Knights, which you have to put in perspective with Emily Moffitt as a very young rider, and with the Philippines brothers, who a year later don't even get into the final. That's something to keep in mind. And then there's also the Madrid in Motion story in 2018, but that was a team that came from low on the overall ranking of the championship, but they came here with Rockefeller, they came here with Verdi, and they came here with Calimero of Mark Houtsager. 3 already decorated championship horses in the prime of their career or just over it. So those were it was an upset because they came from low in the championship standings, but those horses themselves were highly rated. They would be no lower rated, for example, than the Shanghai Swans team. So this young team, young horses, that is an enormous upset. It is a shock.
Well, you and I still have a little bit of work to do. We have an insider. No, not tonight, not tonight. We're done tonight, thank you. We have an insider and an LGCT Grand Prix analysis to record this coming week. But for the 2022 season, it has been a pleasure to have you. Thank you
Likewise.
very much, Frederik de Backer, as we prepare to bring down the curtain, as we said, on the 2022 Global Champions League season. In fact, on the overall Global Champions year, as we crowned an LGCT Super Grand Prix champion last night, and now GCL Super Cup final winners in the Miami Celtics. Arguably one of the most surprising stories to ever come out of Super Cup time. So we'll give some extra reaction, of course, to this insider coming up this week. Thank you for joining us on GCTV. Thank you for being with us here at the O2 Arena in Prague. And we will see you again for the insider and then back in 2023.